Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Convergence episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V. Thanks for watching. So we're coming down to the wire on the Convergence. We're coming down to the mystery being solved as to what's going to happen at the end of this major storyline from DC. Steve and I from the Superman homepage did our radio show this week, which is the Superman KAL podcast. We do it at the end of every month. Check it out on supermanhomepage.com, where we talked quite a bit about Convergence and quite a bit about our thoughts on why it happened and what it means and how it went down and what's coming up next. Not too long ago, I discussed how I'm not that miffed about the fact that Superman is going to be wearing a t-shirt and jeans and some boots in the next edition of his costume, because I don't think that that's a costume. I had a fan write me that he doesn't agree with me because it's not particularly super of him to be wearing a t-shirt. Anybody can wear a t-shirt. I can wear a t-shirt. You can wear a t-shirt. We can have an S on us. That doesn't make us a Superman. No, of course not. But Superman is Superman, even if he's without his powers. He's still the person who was Superman. So the essence of him, the idea that he's going to keep up a never-ending fight, even if he doesn't have his costume, is what I was referring to when I said I still thought it was heroic and inspiring. I don't think the costume should last. I'm not saying he should continue to wear a t-shirt and jeans. I just think as part of whatever's coming up here, it might be interesting to find out why he's wearing that. And it's not going to happen for too long. Now, what Steve and I were discussing on the podcast this month was, is this just another event in the New 52 Superman's life that has been pretty much event after event without a whole lot of character building, and the idea that we haven't had good stories. We haven't had things that were compelling happen about Superman. We've just had this new Superman in kind of an armored suit, missing the briefs, and not really being the Superman that fans want Superman to be. A lot of people continuing to come out and say, this isn't Superman. This guy isn't acting like Superman. And now you have Lois doing things like revealing his identity, and now the whole world knows who he is. So is somehow, even though Convergence is going to wrap up, before we finish this truth arc, and before we see how he gets his new costume or new clothing that he's wearing, Convergence is already going to be over, which is this battle of the multiverse and this thing going on. But then we have the Dark Side War coming up, and we have, as I say, the truth arc happening in Superman comics. Is that going to be a continuation of what happened in Convergence? In other words, now that the multiverse is shattering, as Dr. Fate here says in this panel, and of course we see the version of Superman where he is wearing the briefs because we've got multiverse versions of all the characters. Are we then somehow going to merge all these characters? Or somehow going to take an amalgam of pieces of each universe and put them together into one, as Telos is going to tell us how these people are going to end up looking the way they look? Or are we just going to go back to the New 52? Now, initially, when DC announced that they were going to take the New 52 moniker off the title of all their comics starting in June, they did say that the continuity was still going to continue. But would they want to tell us right then that it was going to end, since that's what Convergence is all about? If that is what it's about, they wouldn't want to tell us that. They would want us to get to the end of the story ourselves. I think it's a little bit of a cop-out to just end the New 52 in that manner, but if they get back to some stories and some characters that people love, the Lois Lane that people love, the Superman that people love, and they get back to good storytelling, it won't matter in the end. It'll become a wash. But is the New 52 a colossal failure? Is it one of these things that people are going to talk about in the future and say, see what DC said? They were changing their entire line, and it was going to be the New 52 from now on. And then 4 years later, when it didn't really work out all that well, they announced that they were just going to go back to what it was. It's kind of like everyone got annoyed that their versions of the characters were ending, but at the time, pre-New 52 comics, nobody was all that thrilled about Superman comics anyway. We did the Grounded arc. There wasn't that much great going on. People were complaining that the stories weren't that great. It seemed to me that most of the fans who weren't happy about the New 52 weren't happy because Superman's costume was changing, which is interesting because we have another time now where his costume is going to change. And I can just imagine that people in editorial, not to say they're doing a great job, not to say they're doing a terrible job, but I just imagine them saying, look at this. We announced that Superman was going to be wearing an armor suit. He was going to be coming from Krypton. He was going to be more Kryptonian. He was going to be more alien. His parents were already going to be dead. He wasn't going to have as many connections to humanity. He wasn't going to be married to Lois. Jimmy was going to be his only friend, and Lois is his best friend, although it never really got anywhere with that. We said it from the beginning. They were best friends. They really knew each other, but there wasn't really a whole lot of interaction between Clark and Lois in the New 52. They announced all of this. People said, armored suit? Why does Superman need armor? It was ceremonial, but it also had function because it wouldn't get destroyed in battle. And now they're getting rid of the armor, and people are complaining and saying, this isn't a Superman suit. What kind of a thing is this? And I agree to that extent, but I also liked the New 52 suit. I also liked the original suit. The pants on the outside has always been a sticking point for Superman and non-Superman fans. And are they necessary? I don't think so. Is it necessary that it has to be cloth as opposed to armor, especially if it's either based on or directly made from the fortress in conjunction with what the costumes, what the armor, what the ceremonial outfits look like on Krypton? It makes sense that he would wear something like that. If it's made that way, so what? But now he's not going to have that, and there are just as many issues with that. So, at the end of truth, the point I'm trying to make is, are we going to see the return to the more classic costume that people really like, or are we going to go back to the New 52 costume minus the briefs, or are we going to have a new costume altogether? It seems like Superman and other characters have been getting new costumes constantly on a regular basis, month after month, whether it takes a couple of years or a couple of months. It just seems like it's constant changing, even since the New 52 happened. The New 52 was a big change. It was supposed to be the future. It was supposed to be a starting point for everybody. And I don't think a lot of new people are going, oh, it's the New 52 now. Now I'm going to buy. An arc like Truth, where they put out this sneak peek that's free, where you see that Lois Lane is going to reveal Superman's identity. Maybe that's going to get readers, or maybe that's going to get old readers who left back. I don't know, because most people are up in arms that Lois would do something like that. I'm interested to see why it happened, how it happened, and how it's going to resolve itself. And I'd like to see us get back to some really compelling, interesting Superman stories. I haven't read a whole lot that was great. Convergence was a mishmash of really confusing stuff that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And you got to wonder, did they just do this so that they could cover their move from New York City to L.A., because that's where the DC company is moving to? They had their headquarters right in New York City, and now they're going to be in L.A., and this was something that could kind of get them through that without having to worry about too many story things. They had this one idea, and they just kind of ran it out, and it's one thing after another, but no real resolution, no real start to any of the stories, except for the main Convergence title, which is about characters that nobody really knows. You know, there's a Batman, there's a Superman, but they're not the Batman and Superman people were looking for, but it looks like they're all going to come together as we reach the end, and that's kind of interesting to see, all of them finally working together when it looked like Talos was going to make them fight and kill each other, and so many people were acting out of character in order to do that. We'll see what happens. I'm interested to find out where it goes from here, and hopefully, most importantly, where it's not briefs versus armor or T-shirt versus bloody fists. It's more about, to me, that we get good, interesting, cool Superman stories again, and I hope that happens soon. Thanks for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky. This is the part where I say I don't wanna, I'm stronger than ever. This is the part where I break free, 'cause I just can't take it no more.